Hey, welcome to the first podcast of Brothers from the CLE. Give you a little background on us. I'm Rich Flowers. That's my ace, Steve Gerald. Too many people in this world you can call ace. I'm a 1983 graduate of Brookside High School. Which you guys don't know, it's northeastern Ohio. It's in Lorraine County. Steve's a 1984 graduate. We're both Hall of Fame members at our high school. Both played football, basketball, and track together. And this all this is brothers from the CLE. This is our first show. Is this stuff that we always talk about? So this is our first show. I hope you enjoy it. It'll be about the last 50 years, and the best 10 teams in the last 50 years is basically our lifetime. So from 1970 to current time of 2020, the top two teams in that history, top 10 sports teams that Cleveland history span in Cleveland. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, yeah, as Richie gave you a little bit of background, we've been talking about doing this for 5 years. We finally jumped the cliff and decided to do it. And I've talked to him about it. And one thing, hopefully, if anybody watches this outside of friends, that all think we're both crazy. But we live this. You talk to a lot of people, and there's a lot of good broadcasts in Northeast Ohio, to A to Z, Selby is God, some other things, right? That these guys are in the media or whatever, and we actually grew up with this stuff. And I
All
think we have
day,
right,
all
we
day.
were there, and so we've lived through a lot of these things, a lot of the games we were at, still live them, talk about them.
Unfortunately,
Exactly. A lot of it, which we hadn't lived through. Fumble, drive, shot two. People forget about the shot two over Gerald Wilkins. A lot of crazy stuff. The 2015 Cavs, 76 Cavs, stuff that happened to everybody, 80 Browns to 72 Browns, which people forget about, we'll talk about. So these are a lot of memories we talk about anyway. We figured we'd film it and put it on there and do it. Um, Figure, what the heck, if Urban Meyer can have 7 broadcasts, we can have, or podcasts, we can have 1. So, uh, man,
Urban's got 7.
he's got like 7.
Yeah,
He,
he's earned it.
he's
He gave me a national
he,
championship.
he's living his
Notice I
life.
said me. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
got,
he's living the best life. Yeah,
he's living, hey,
right.
right down the street here,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to his pine
So
house.
like I so yeah, we got to get there on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
We got a Thursday night. Hey,
According to Melinda Flowers, huh? The best honey mustard sauce in Ohio. Man,
oh wow,
remember that she did that.
she she
She took it home.
and she's an expert of a honey mustard everywhere we go.
I love
Yeah,
it.
so no matter where we go,
Baby Race. You want to?
McDonald's doesn't matter. Honey mustard. But I'm up here in northeastern Ohio. I'm still around in the area. Steve's in central Ohio, but we see each other maybe twice a month. But we talk about sports daily. Before we do this top 10, we just want to shout out to OBJ, man. Um, Steve, me and Steve got on the phone after the game. He said, "Rich, man, this look like he went down funny, man. I just hope it's not bad." That's just not only our players in Cleveland, man. It's just how athletics and professional sports just seem like they get injured without being touched.
Oh, it's
I
crazy.
mean, no one ran into him. He kind of landed funny, but
You know,
that was just
a-
didn't
a-
look bad. It
well,
didn't look
after you watch it again, and this is what happens
okay.
on the Astrograss. Astrograss is nice, and I
Right,
know Reggie Bush talked about it today. And with J.C.
right.
Treader being the president of NFLPA, and he's put a thing out there they should go on grass. His toe caught in the turf, and it bounced up again, and then it caught a second time. And when it caught the second time, you could see his knee just buckle. And so that right there was a Astrograss injury. Period. End of story.
That filter.
If that would have been in Cleveland, that would have never happened. Would have never happened because it grabbed his cleat is what happened. And it's just unfortunate. And
The
it was
field turf. The field turf is better than the astroturf from back in our day, but field turf's still not better than Mother Nature.
not better than grass.
I
That was
no,
a
nothing's better than grass.
that was a
Nothing's better than grass.
that was a clear injury because of the turf. Period. End of story. It just
Yeah,
was. And
yeah.
you can look at Reggie Bush
So
got on there today and just went off on it. It just, yeah.
What's that on the first thing? What are you on Fox Sports?
Yeah, it was on Fox Sports. He talked about it. Yeah. He just said it was a great,
Okay.
and he said, we can do all these precautions for COVID, which should be done. Why aren't we doing stuff to prevent injuries? Which
Right.
which
I
which
agree.
which was grass at all stadiums. They make enough money; it should be grass, right?
Okay. Sounds like we'll be able to do a show just on that, just
Oh
on
God,
injuries in sports,
crazy.
not just in Cleveland. But we're going to start our list, and like we said earlier, we also will add on an honorable mention, give you a couple surprises with the honorable mention, and this is our list. This doesn't have to be your list. Um, and when we find a way for you to communicate back to our podcast, you can send us your list. This just happens to be our list. We've talked this over since midsummer, and we even made a few adjustments an hour before we went on the air on the podcast.
And I'll tell you what's
So
hard to make on these lists like this,
yeah, it is.
because
It is.
one, because you love certain teams
Yeah, yeah.
better
But
than
they just
didn't get
not
it.
as some of the ones you're not emotionally tied to, and some of the some my buddy who's lives in Louisville, big Cleveland Browns fan. He texts me about OBJ. What? I mean, that's just every day. Um, right. You have that emotional tie to teams. You went to the game, or in some cases, we got autographs from these athletes. Is just you just not that you don't have a tie with all of them. You just have a
Well,
larger one
I'm gonna
with
talk to.
certain teams.
It was just
Well,
like there's the team that I love that's not on this list, but I'll give you an example why. The 1975 Indians, actually 1977 Indians, and why you say, just like you said, they played donkey basketball at Brookside High School
okay.
and got the autographs. It was Kuiper, Jack Brohammer, Manning, Eckersley, and they played the donkey basketball game 1 week before Eckersley threw his no hitter. It was a 1-0 game where he pitched a no hitter and Frank Tanana pitched a 2-hitter. It was a week before. So you
Right.
got attached to a team. You remember, because they had the all red, which I got the jersey in there, the all red jerseys and the pants.
Is that Oscar Gamble, Charlie
Oscar,
Spikes, and all that?
yeah. And then they used to say that it made Boog Powell look like a giant blood clot. He looks so
Oh
big,
wow.
man. All red.
Right.
Yeah, Frank Robinson was the manager. You had captain
Frank Robinson.
Buddy Bell. Yeah, man, yeah.
Those were great days. I got the Buddy Bell red bat on bat day.
Oh,
They can't give you the bats now.
hey,
People start whacking each other.
I have the red bat from Bat Day the year before.
Yeah.
It was the big man,
Yeah.
Rick O'Carty. People forget about him. Rick O'Carty.
Rico Carty.
And here's the thing about the left fielder on that team. People forget about this. John Lowenstein.
Right.
Lowenstein, however you pronounce it. Only guy in history to have the same batting average 2 years in a row. 243. How is that actually possible? They'd be like hitting the lottery.
What? 243
in back-to-back years. How statistically could you do that? You can't do that. It's impossible. Yeah. Now that's the kind of information you're gonna get here. I just happen to know that John Lennon.
That's why it only happened once.
Oh,
I mean, geez. I could go on and tell you some stories about, especially the Browns, because other than the Buckeyes, I mean that the Browns were the teams were my first love, were the Cleveland Browns, and a lot of times is my first heartache too. But
yes,
without further ado, we're going to start with the list,
yes,
Steve, because we could go on all day with these stories.
I feel you.
Met Greg Pruitt at the Palace Theater, got his autograph. I mean,
hey, I had Ozzie Newsome at St. Thomas in 1979 with Clay Matthews at St. Thomas.
Clay Matthews.
Yeah, and I have it, and they signed. I had
lived right around the creek.
Right, went through the woods and just had. I have this, and I have it. The 78 and 77 and 78 team, because 77 they were rookie. How about that for a draft? First round,
Ozzie Newsome,
Clay Matthews. Wow.
Yeah. One Hall of Famer, another one that should be a Hall of Famer. Okay, with the list, Steve. Like I said, we can go on all day, but this kind of little information get with us. So on the number 10 team, we went with
The Miracle Richfield
Ni-
Cavs.
Miracle Richfield Cavs, 1976 Cavs.
Reading a
I
book,
could
reading a
tell you,
book on him right now.
right? So Joe Tate, I can tell you my little story about that team. This is before, obviously, for you young people to listen. This is before cable, and every once in a while, Cavalier game on. So the games used to be on the West Coast, and we had a big black lazy boy in the living room, and those when they're on the West Coast, that was the nights that my mom would let me stay up late. And
Listen to the game.
what they started 10:05 or 10:30. It was Golden State, Seattle. I don't think the Clippers were there, but the Lakers. I don't believe Sacramento was there. But they do 3 games, maybe Phoenix. All started 10:05 or 10:30. Man, I struggled to sit in that chair and listen and see and make it through. Couple nights I made it through, but that was just my Cavaliers chair, and I was just so excited I got to stay up because probably 8:30, 9 o'clock was my bedtime. But check this out. I don't know if you guys remember this is old Cleveland times. Back then, didn't listen to FM radio. It was CKLW from Detroit,
Yep.
AM.
Yep.
And I used to get up in the morning. My mom turned that on, and when I'm getting ready for school, she's getting ready for work. And then I'd listen to see if the Cavaliers won. So that's just my tie into that team.
So I'll give you mine real
A
quick
lot of
here.
people already know, obvious. But the 76 team, and then Steve will give you your story. They lose in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Boston Celtics, 4 games to 2. Steve can kind of tell you.
Yeah, Jim Jones broke his foot the day before the finals started, and Nate Thurman had to carry us through. And actually, we were up at Game 6 and just lost. And I think Nate Thurman fouled out, and they came back and beat us. And that was an all-time
Yeah, he said
great.
he was exhausted.
Oh, and that was an all-time great Celtics team. So my story is this: so for Christmas every year, my parents asked me what I wanted, and it was either Browns tickets, like Brown Steelers one year, 1973, Leroy Kelly's last game, or that year I wanted the Cavs. So didn't get it. The dad comes home one day and says, "Hey, we got to go off to the east side for something." I'm like, "Look, man, the Cavs are on. I want to listen to the game." He said, "You got to go." So get in the car and we're driving around. He picks up something from work, and then we drive through, and we're going through this cornfield. And I'm like, "Where exactly are you taking me?" Also, we go through this cornfield, and all of a sudden it opens up, and it's like heaven. It all opens up like the Field of Dreams, and there sits the Richfield Coliseum. And I go, "No, you didn't." He goes, "Yes, I did. It was Cavs Celtics." And I went, "Where's the tickets?" And he goes, "Oh, you're gonna love this." So we go down, we walk down. Remember how you had the circle, walk down, and he goes, "All right." And we're walking down. I'm like, "Here." He goes, "No, walk down." On the floor. On the floor. I said, "What did you pull?" Man, so this was huge. This right now, right at that point, Cavs and Celtics had the best record in the league, right? And this is the Celtics came with Cowens, JoJo White, Hondo Havlicek, big Ohio State grades, right? I mean, they were studs. Tom Heinsohn's the coach. They'd won the
Charlie
championship.
Scott.
Charlie Scott, man, they were, man, they were great. Cavs beat the hell out of them. Heinsohn got thrown out of the game. But my big proudest moment, because who's your favorite Cav besides LeBron James? Who is it?
Oh, it was Mark Price.
Well, okay, for that group.
Oh, Footsie Walker.
Well, you like Footsie Walker. So me is Mr. Cavalier. So
Mr. Cavalier.
So
you're right. Yeah.
I have, and you know I have this. I've got the program, and I kept score. So
yeah,
I'm putting score, and I'm trying to, because Campy had just hit a fadeaway jumper. Something went on, and my dad goes, "Look up." Ball rolls over to me. I pick it up. I look up, and I'm trying to not hold my book. I pick up the ball, and I look, and there's Mr. Cavalier. I give him the ball, gives me a high five. Oh, man. Come on now. And they would have won the championship. Austin. Yep. So,
I know you guys, I know, and I don't want to compare him to Michael Jordan because I know that everybody will get all upset. But I tell you what, I mean, what he hit, what did Mr. Cavalier hit in
63.
college? He hit
63.
63 without the 3-point line.
I think
He
we had
hit it on
70.
the OU Bobcats. Sorry, Brian Bastock, but he hit it on the OU Bobcats. I mean, he was special, to his knee injury, and then just didn't have the technology that you have today.
I think he
And all the
played he played in 3 NCAA tournaments, not
yeah,
games, so 3 times. I think he averaged over 45 points a game, highest ever,
right.
ahead of Pete Maravich. I mean, he's the
First
number 1
draft
player in the
choice.
draft. In the draft.
First draft choice of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Someone asked him, "Well, how'd you find out?" He said, "I was in class at Notre Dame, and someone opened the door and said, 'Hey, Austin, you're the first pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers.'" He said, "Okay, thanks." That was his draft day.
Hey, and how about that?
Little different.
Than now? But
A little different.
think about the depth on that team, though. Footsie, Jimmy Clemens, Dick Snyder, Austin Carr, Bobby Bingo Smith, Campy
Bobby
Russell,
Bingos.
Jim Brewer, Chones, Nate Thurman, Lambert, Jim Brewer, right? Coached by
Right,
Bill Fitch, right?
right.
Great team. Great team.
And so that's our number 10. Number 10, the 1976 Miracle at Richfield Cleveland Cavaliers. And we'll go on to 9. And there's a lot of reasons why we put this team at 9. They first Cleveland Cavaliers team to make the finals. All the brilliance of throughout the playoffs, one-man show on LeBron James, the chosen one, the king. This is before all the decision and all the BS, man. Just pure wine and gold. Brought the wine and gold jerseys back. I'll just tell you my little story. I don't remember everything about that team, but if Steve will give you the whole lineup, you would never think this team would make the NBA Finals. You'd probably be shocked if they won an NBA playoff round. But Steve doesn't remember. I believe he's got twin boys that had a health issue, so he had tickets to the NBA Finals. He wasn't able to go. Gave them to me, and if you know anything about the Cleveland Cavaliers, they give you a shirt, and then they had all these other freebies. That's all I could do for Steve. I gave it to him and gave him the tickets and everything. But we were there. Me and my wife were in game 4, 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers. I know they got swept by the San Antonio Spurs, but still, there can only be one first, and they were the first to make it to the finals for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they had to be on the list. For me, I had to put them on the list. I put them at number 9. The 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers, led by the King, LeBron James. Go
Yep.
ahead.
And as we stated earlier, we were at these things. We were at Game 6, and this is where all people don't realize this is where game watching outside the stadium happened. It wasn't Jurassic Park in Toronto. It was the Cavs in what do they call it back then? Quicken Loans Plaza.
Cavs
Yeah, Cavs Town. So you had, I think people just started showing up, and they're like, well, let's just put TVs up, right? I think there was more people outside the stadium that night. And when Booby started going off, right? The shoot, Booby, shoot, right? Where he hit 8 threes, 7 in a row.
Right.
Because LeBron only scored
Right.
in Game 6, the closeout game. After Game
It's
5,
the Pistons.
right? Game 5, LeBron scores 25 to 28. 45 points. Just took over.
45 points in a row.
Right. He has a triple double, but he only scores 18 or 20 points. Z has a decent game. It's Booby Gibson. And you remember Rasheed Wallace got thrown out. 2 tees, teed him up,
Right.
threw him out. You could hear the fans outside the stadium going crazy. And I remember we're in, and end of the game, LeBron gets the ball, throws it up, and comes running up and gives a big hug to Z, right? And I remember nobody wanted to leave. So we must have been in the queue for what? An hour? We walk outside, and there is, thousands of people everywhere. Cop cars, people high-fiving cops. It was crazy.
They shut down Huron. when you walk back then at the time it was the Q, Rocket Mortgage Field House right now. When you walk out right on Huron, it was just a mob of people. It was just a sea of people. And I don't know if Steve remembers this, but he's too shy to say this, but he took care of me and my family so we can go to the game. He's just like, "No, Rich, you got to be there. I got you. It's on me." So, well, it goes along with that. I appreciate it deep in my heart. This is a great thing. Tip offs at 7:05. We got to be down there at 1 o'clock. We go down there at 1 o'clock, and my little guy Miles, um, that was a long day because we couldn't get out of there till about midnight. Didn't get to the car about 1 o'clock. He was just completely exhausted. 12 hours, with they love the Cavs town that's between Jacobs Progressive Field and the Q, and they're out there. We got to talk to Chris, the TBS guy that passed away. What was his name? Chris Sager. What was his name?
Craig Sager. Yeah, he was out there.
Craig Sager.
Craig
We got to
Sager.
talk to Craig Sager, and my boys said, "Can you ask Charles Barkley to leave Cleveland alone?" He goes, "Hey guys, Charles doesn't listen to anybody." But 12 hours. So when you go down the steps and everything, I had my son who's on my back. I had to carry my son on my back to the car. He was just exhausted. He was a little guy then, and but and that was the 2007 season. It led up to us making the finals. Honestly, I really give a damn when we got swept, man.
No,
I
it
just
was yeah, it was.
enjoyed the great
And you
ride.
and you don't remember the lineup, huh?
Oh, yeah. Kid from Brazil, Booby.
But he didn't start. Anderson didn't start.
Anderson Varejao didn't start.
No, he did
Okay,
not. Gooden started.
Gooden,
Big
Gooden,
Z.
Larry Hughes, Booby.
Yep,
Gooden,
that was
Larry
it.
Hughes, and Booby.
That was it.
Who were the other two?
LeBron
Who's the other two?
And
LeBron,
Z and Z.
Z. So that's big. Okay. All right. Yeah.
And
No,
then what happened in the finals that killed us? Larry Hughes got
right.
hurt, and I don't remember
Yeah.
who we played. Did we play Shannon Brown or something? I'm
Shannon
and
Brown.
I'm gonna tell you, people don't bring this up. And we didn't play well, okay, but we had a shot in games 3 and 4. But people got to remember that Bryce, LeBron's second boy, was born like early. It was born after game 3, between game 3 and 4, and LeBron was like at the hospital like that whole time.
Right.
Not saying it cost us the series because we lost game 4 by 1 point when for some reason Anderson, I think, took a jumper instead of giving it to LeBron for a 3, who could have tied it
Yeah.
up. I believe that was.
That was a San Antonio Spurs team with Hall of Famer Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Parker.
Parker.
That was it. That was a hell of a basketball
Yeah,
team.
Ginobili killed
They
us.
end up, they end up winning 3 titles there with that group of guys. It was great.
Good.
Duncan, arguably the best power forward in history. Arguably, he wouldn't be mine, but that's fine. So we've taken care of 9 and 10. We're gonna go to number 8. I'll say this: the Cardiac Kids, Ryan Sight, the 1980 Cleveland Brown.
The 1980
Man,
NFL MVP, most valuable player.
NFL MVP, Brian Sight. Brian
That's right.
Sight. It was just
Red Right
I
88.
don't want to throw any don't want to throw any politics into this, but when we were kids, we lived on the shores of Lake Erie. The lake froze, far as the eye could see. Doesn't do that anymore. And then this game, Red Right 88, the Oakland Raiders game. I remember Brian Musburger. He was on NBC Sports. He did the game, and he was the Hall of Fame is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was out there, and he was standing on the rocks, 1 foot on the rocks, and he was just saying, "We're in Cleveland, and this is how cold it is." To us, didn't mean anything. It was kind of the normal. We knew it was cold. I knew I wasn't gonna go to that game. Couldn't get tickets. It was just too cold. I was still in high school, but it was frigid cold. It was frigid cold, and you were in the old stadium. That was a smell of mustard. I hope you don't make you uncomfortable in your
And you're,
that. That's basically what
hey
it
man,
was.
hey,
Well,
you went into the old troughs. You never knew
oh,
what was going to go on. There was dice games going on in the corners. This
nice,
corner,
nice game.
drug deals going on
Uh,
over here.
car,
Oh man,
Mountie, car Mountie. Oh, that game going on. Find out where the peanut was.
oh lord.
Find out where the ace card was. All that stuff going on, but it just smelled like stadium mustard and just I don't know, man. This it was just it was awesome, man. Place would rock. I don't know if I made it to a game in 1980. I don't know if I made it in a game in
Sure.
1980. Was probably playing.
Oh,
I was probably playing freshman basketball at Brookside at that time, and just moved to Sheffield Village. But yeah, it was freezing cold, man. Yeah. So
it was bad. It was
you
bad.
don't think global warming? You think
Oh lord,
global warming exists? 40 years later, that joker doesn't freeze.
freeze. I think it was
Go
my
ahead.
with wind chill. It was a second or third coldest game ever. The next year, the Chargers and Bengals played super cold. That may be the coldest. I think this was
Right.
either a little bit colder or not as cold as the Ice Bowl between the Cowboys and Packers. Oh,
Yeah,
so,
the Packers, Cowboys.
and what's crazy about that game is, you know, and we had it won. We outplayed them. Late in the game, there's a 4th and 1. They go for it, like our 30. We're down 14-12. Lyle Alzado, everybody forgets, played for us, but Lyle Alzado, and it may have been Dick Bam Bam Ambrose, or maybe it was R.L. Jackson, rushed uh, Plunkett. I don't know if it was Plunkett on a sneak or they gave it on a run. Stopped him. So we get the ball back, and Sipes just dissecting him. And there's one point he throws one out to Ozzie, and Ozzie slips on the field and gets tripped up, or he's gone. But we go all the way down, and we have the ball, what, the 8, Rich? 8-7. Call timeouts, 14-12. I don't know, 20 seconds left. Problem was the wind was crazy. Cockcroft had missed 2 field goals, and they wanted to try to go for it. And Sam in the book, Sam Sipe and Company, says, if nothing's open, Brian, throw it to the blonde in the first row. They ran a play, Red Red 88, that had worked the whole year. And Sipe throws it to the only guy that's not open. And it's intercepted by Mike Davis in the back of the end zone. He had Logan open on the left. He had Reggie Rucker open on the right. And he had Greg Pruitt out of the backfield. And he threw it to the only guy that was covered. And what's crazy, I remember Greg Pruitt talked about this years later where he was traded to the Raiders. He said Mike Davis couldn't catch a cold, couldn't catch a ball. He had the worst hands in the history of the world. But in a day when it's minus 20 degrees, he makes a diving catch in the back of them. Crazy. And I think we'd have beat the
And that's
Chargers next week.
that. And the Raiders go ahead and win the Super Bowl. They
Win the
beat the
Super Bowl.
Philadelphia Eagles with Ron Jaworski from Youngstown State and Harold Carmichael. They beat 1981 Super Bowl. So um, we'll move on to our seventh pick, and our seventh pick is the 2017 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, and you know what's funny
Uh,
about this team, and you and I discussed this. I think of the what we'll call the four years where LeBron comes back. Obviously, we won the championship in 16. You know, I firmly believe this. I've heard Brian Windhurst say this on one of his podcasts, and he's said it on the Really Big Show and a couple other things. I think the 2017 was the best Cavs team ever. Now, we don't have them on the list higher than they are. We lost that
right.
team to maybe one of the greatest teams that ever played, and it lost in 5 games, but had game 3 won and blew it. But it's basically because a team that went 73-9 brought in the second best player in the world.
Right.
And you know, we were right with them in 1-2, blew game 3, killed them in game 4, played a solid game 5, but just lost. And that team, was, I think it's the best of the group. I mean, Kyle Korver played great that year. We got him in the trade. I just think that was the best team we had. Better than 16. But
Right.
obviously didn't win it all.
Right. Now, as we move on to number 6, we're gonna go on our first Cleveland Indians, the tribe team on the list is the 1997 Cleveland Indians. Um, I'm I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that I'm a big baseball fan, but I tell you what, I'm an Indians fan. So the 97 team lost to the Florida Marlins, right?
Game 7, extra innings.
97, 97, right?
Yep,
And 7, correct?
game 7. Yep.
So
Lost in the 10th inning. Had a 3-2 lead in the ninth, and Jose Mesa didn't follow what Sandy wanted and gave up a run. 3-3.
yeah, right.
What's crazy
We
about that
talk.
game is the top of the ninth, we had a guy on third and one out and couldn't bring him in.
Can you tell us that lineup, Steve?
So we had Marquise Grissom in center. Manny was in right. Left field, and I think in game 7 was Brian Giles, actually. Then we had Tomey, and then we had Tony Fernandez, and Bip Roberts was second because this is the year after we traded Baerga. He had Omar at short, Matt Williams at third, and Sandy at catcher. Game 7 was started by Jared Wright, but the guy that was the standout pitcher in that series was Chad Oj. We still had Hershiser had a good year in Nagy. And we had out of the bullpen, we had Brian Anderson from Geneva, Ohio, Mike Jackson, Jose Mesa. You still had Osamacher, Eric Plunk. Good team. That team struggled most of the year, got some chemistry. That was the socks up on Homie's birthday. They all wore their socks up and they went on a roll at the end of the year and, upset the Yankees. That was the year that Sandy hit the home run off Mariano Rivera in the bottom of the eighth, tied it up, came back and won, then won in game 5. And then the number 1 seed, everybody fails because the Yankees were actually the wild card, was the Orioles. The Orioles were good that year, and we beat them in 6 games. Tony Fernandez hit a home run in game 6 in Baltimore to beat them 3-2, 4-3, or whatever. That was a team of destiny. They should have won it all. Came up short. Jose didn't want to pitch inside, and he, allowed Moises Alou to, hit one to right field. And crazy. Had it won. As we talked about, we went to 1 parade. We can talk about that later, obviously. We should have been to about 5.
Right. I believe is that the year we hosted the All-Star game, 97, or we
Yes.
hosted it?
Yes, and that's what's crazy about that year. That's why it was all. Sandy had the 29 game hitting streak. We had the All-Star game there. Sandy was the MVP
I
of the
went to the
All-Star game.
All-Star game.
I was, yeah,
Sandy and Almar MVP.
We just had it. It's just one of those years, man. You just felt like this was just our year. I mean, we had the, the stolen home where Omar didn't hit the bunt and Marquise Grissom comes in, and we just had everything going our way. And then, I mean, honestly, we should have won it before that. We had a big lead in game 3 at home and blew it, and we had it. I mean, we had to be.
We'll talk another thing about another. We'll talk about a couple more tribe teams that we have in our top 5. But another thing you got to add was the sports gods are looking upon Cleveland because we didn't have the Browns. That was the years
That's
that we
true.
didn't have the Browns.
Browns just
So
left.
we were hurting in the fall, far as Cleveland sports. So we went all the way until November with the 97 tribe, and then we'll talk about the other year that the Cleveland Browns were on their hiatus, if you want to call it whatever you want to call it. We got robbed, but
Taken in the
that's
night.
that's another story for another podcast.
Just think about it. Just think about it. Art Modell does his deal on the tarmac at Burke Lakefront during, I think it was game 1 of the World Series. Indians make their
Yeah.
first World Series in 41 years. In the same night that we're starting off basically a great run of Indians baseball, the Browns are leaving. Crazy.
And
Crazy.
it was, and people keep on thinking, yeah, they played in Baltimore, but it was the state of Maryland, their power, their budget, their money
Yep.
versus one city, Cleveland.
Well, and
We
you know,
and
the whole thing is because he spent all his money. Spent all
yeah,
his money.
and
Now
then
there's some Mayor White.
Mayor Vornovich, he was former Mayor Vornovich of Cleveland at the time. He was governor, and Odell was a staunch supporter. Went to Vornovich, and Vornovich said, "I'm not going to help you, build a stadium and help you back. I'm not going to back you if you're going to have 8 events a year," which wasn't true. There's other things that we could have done,
Sure.
like other people do with their stadiums, put 20, 30 events a year in. It would have drawn a lot of money, similar to where the Cleveland Brown Stadium is now, similar to what they used to do at the old Cleveland Brown Stadium. They used to bring black college football there.
World
The
Series of Rock. World Series of
Navy,
Rock.
Serious Rock, the Navy we
Army Navy.
used to come and play, right?
Hey! Ohio
They
State
had
played there. Remember? We saw
Ohio State.
Ohio
Ohio
State
State played
Northwestern play them.
Northwestern there.
Yep.
Yeah, they, so you could have made it work, but again, you had a state versus a city. We'll go deeper in that when we have a podcast about how we got robbed. So we're at number 5. We're at the 2016 Cleveland 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 Indians, the Tribe. Tell you the truth, um, Steve talked to me into this. I don't really remember too much about the 2016 Tribe. Was this the 2016 Tribe that went to the World Series and lost to the Cubs?
Yes. Lost in Game 7. We're the only team in history that has not only lost once in extra innings in Game 7, but lost twice. This is the game of the rain. This is the home run by Rajay Davis. Had it won. If the rain, I firmly believe if the rain doesn't happen, the Tribe wins. Tribe wins. 1, we had all the momentum, and 2, I think if it doesn't rain, the hit that really won it for the Cubs doesn't happen because I think Jose Ramirez gets the ball and it's an out. It ended up being a double play because to me, it looked like he slipped a little bit. Again, that's another year we were destined to win it. We're up 3-1 is after the Cavs won the championship, and just everything went wrong. Games 5, 6, 7. Great team. Great
Okay.
team.
So we'll move on here. That was number 5. So the recap, before we get into the top 4, we've got number 5, 2016 Cleveland Indians. And number 6, 1997 Cleveland Indians. Both teams made it to the World Series. Both teams lost in Game 7. Then we have what's number 7, Steve? The 2017 Cleveland
Cavs.
Cavaliers.
Right.
Right.
2017 Cavs.
And
Correct.
number 8 is the 1980 Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean the Cleveland Browns, who Red Right 88, the Ice Bowl, whatever you want to call it.
Cardiac Kids.
Yeah,
The
Cardiac Kids.
The 12 Days of a Browns
Yeah.
Christmas. Both of Pruitt's moves.
12 Days of Browns Christmas. Brian Sight, NFL MVP. Then we had 2007 Cavs, first Cleveland Cavaliers team to make it to the NBA Finals, led by a young LeBron James that just scorched everybody in Eastern Conference Finals, to run in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Then we had the 1976 Cleveland Cavaliers, Miracle at Richfield.
And people don't realize, and we didn't really talk about this, is why they call it the Miracle at Richfield was it's the first year we'd ever been in the playoffs. We start off against the defending world champions,
right?
Washington Bullets. All 5 games went to the final seconds, and the Cavs won, upset them. And what I can remember of that game is the fans tore down the baskets, and it was the loudest. They say that was the loudest arena in the history of basketball that night.
It was just open up the Coliseum.
Yeah.
So we recap the top 6, and we're just going to start with our number 4, 2015 Cleveland Cavaliers. This is when LeBron had returned. I know Steve likes that 2017 team. I'm not going to say they're better than anybody's better than a 2016 team because they won it. A lot of things happen, and, a lot of adversity, and you just got to overcome it. But I that 2015 cap. I know sports. I know in sports injuries are part of sports, but we lost. We lost Kevin Love and against the Boston Celtics. Can't remember what round that was. We lost Kevin Love,
Round two.
and then we lost to
No, it was
a
opening round.
dirty play where we pulled his arm out of socket, and then we lost in the NBA Finals. We lost Kyrie Irving, and we end up losing to the Golden State Warriors. Uh, that'd be our first time in our four games, 4 seasons in a row in the NBA Finals.
Lost 4 games to
That
2. And
that
was up
that
to, and
team
we're up 2-1. We're up 2-1.
2-1. Kyrie, he had a knee injury. He was nursing all year, and he just broke his kneecap in half. It was heartbreaking. It's kind of the feeling that came back when Jim Jones, but it was just later. I'm Steve and I, we go back and forth about Kyrie, but I just thought he was the best under the rim finisher in NBA history. I can't think of anybody any better than him. Um, I'm not going to say he's the best guard ever or anything like that, but not just because he wore the wine and gold, but he was the best under the rim finisher. Just his ability to put English on the ball, change direction. He's just special. Um, I think Kyrie, whatever is in his head, he has to realize that I think he's one of the best players. He can be one of the best players ever played this game at any level. Sometimes he gets on other things and he loses his way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'll tell you what,
that's
in game 1, he dominated Steph Curry. He dominated him that game until he got hurt. And we had that game 1 and ended up going to overtime. That's when Kyrie broke his kneecap. We ended up losing game 1, upset him in game 2. That was the meme of LeBron doing the yelling. And then game 3, when Delly plays out of his mind. And then we just hit the wall. But game 1 of that series, Kyrie played like he did in game 5, 6, and 7, and 16. He played great. Yeah. My only hang up with Kyrie is, in my opinion, I know we've went back and forth. At times, in fact, too much for me, he didn't make people around him better. That was my only hang up. Now, as far as an offensive player,
he's a scorer.
He's a scorer.
He's a scorer. Yeah, there's no argument there. He's a scorer.
But that team would have won it all. They would have won it all.
We'll talk about the other team coming up, but and as you look, you can kind of tell who's going to be our number one as we get closer to the top. But yeah, should have went back to back. So then we're going to go with the 95 Tribe. Now I know a little bit more about the 95 Tribe. That's when I was calling myself a ticket broker. I had tickets. I had tickets everywhere. It was a great time to be an Indians fan. Again, Cleveland gods looked upon us for the 1995 Cleveland Indians. My wife, back then they had a lottery for the World Series. You had to fill out a form.
I was there.
And you mailed it in.
Game 3.
3, 5, and 8. It was some garage at it was called Jacobs Field at the time. They had a big, huge garage, and they showed a big mound of tickets. Everybody that threw their ticket in the lottery. And I told my wife, I said, we won 4 tickets. We won 4 tickets to the World Series. We sat in the bleachers. And
what game were you at?
That was, man, we lost at game 5. Game 5.
Okay.
Tickets in the bleachers. Check it out. I had won 4 tickets to the 97 All-Star game.
I was there.
I had won 4 tickets to the World Series. So it's just me and my wife going. So I took the tickets. If you guys don't know, I put them on squares or a grid, right?
Uh-huh.
One person wins both tickets. Ralph raffled them off, right? Squared them off. probably of a football game, I'm sure, and paid for paid for our whole night, paid for our tickets, and put a little bit of money in our pockets. But man, who was the guy, the big guy for
Albert.
the Atlanta Braves at the time?
Well,
Not Chipper,
Fred
Dave
McGriff,
Justice,
Dave
David Justice,
Justice,
David Justice. I
who
couldn't stand that
who
man.
then
He's
got
so
and
arrogant.
then got
So
traded to the Indians, and then got traded to the
yeah,
Indians in
so
'97.
we're going in the team shop. Huge line to get in the team shop. Right, this is the end of the season. If you want any World Series memorabilia, you better hurry up and get it. Because when Cleveland gets to the NBA Finals, World Series, people come from all over the country, and they gobble up stuff because they live in California, Seattle, wherever they're at. We got Cleveland fans all over the world. So we're grabbing stuff and everything, and we got this big, huge thing for my oldest son. I was a headboard and all this stuff, and my wife's shopping, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "We're in a team shop, and it's Game 5 of the World Series.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go. I'm
yeah.
ready to go out and watch the
So
game."
I
So
was at Game 3, and we were in the
yeah,
bleachers too, and we were 2
right,
rows from John Adams. And that's all. And you know what, Rich? And this is all I could think of. I was sitting there. I was sitting in the stadium, and my dad goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I go, "The Indians are in the World Series." I mean, it's just like, I mean, really? Of any
right.
team, the Indians are in the World Series. And then my idiot
Right.
head forgot to take a
We
picture of
win
us
Game
there.
3. We
Yeah,
won
what?
Game 3.
In extra
We
innings.
won.
In extra innings. Yep.
We
Yep.
won?
Yeah, we won. Yep.
Okay. So this the 95 tribe, they what, lost in 6?
7. Oh no, 6. You're right. 6. They
7?
lost. They lost in
6.
6. 2-1. They or 1 to
Good.
nothing. Maybe it's
So that's
1
our
to nothing. David Justice hit the home run to beat us off Jim Poole.
right, right. Albert Bell had a hell of a World Series.
Yeah.
He hit he
Well,
hit 2 home runs.
that World Series
Yeah,
was dominated by the umpires who gave Glavine and Smoltz, this far outside.
yeah,
And
right,
if you listen to Kenny Lofton and Albert and them talk about it, they felt like we were just cheated. We
right,
were the best team in baseball. People understand we
right,
only played 144 games that year. We went 144. Albert Bell hit 50 home runs, 50 doubles. Only second
yeah,
person ever do it by, I think, Babe Ruth. And didn't get
right,
the MVP because they hated him. They gave it to
right,
Movan. What a joke. And
right.
we just crushed people.
Yeah, Albert was well, they ate Albert up. And it's just because he had a short fuse.
What a
But
lineup. What a
and
lineup.
then
What a lineup, though, huh? Lofton, Vizquel,
right,
Baerga, Bell, Eddie Murray. And then you had Manny,
yeah,
Tomey. I mean, when you have Manny Ramirez and Jim Tomey hitting 7-8, I mean, come on now.
yeah,
Crazy. Crazy. What a team.
yeah.
Had
Mike
speed,
Hargrove,
power. Oh,
Hargrove.
great team. El Presidente.
Yeah, that 95 team was a special team. That's why we have them at number 3. Yeah, that's got to be my favorite Cleveland Indians team.
Great team. Great team.
Without a doubt. Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Omar Vizquel, Carlos Baerga. Wow. Alomar wasn't there yet, though, was he? He wasn't at second.
No, we didn't get him until 99. Got him in
Okay.
99.
Okay. So now you can kill us for this, but we did a combo. We did a combo because we thought these teams were so similar, and it's so difficult to separate them. We've got the 1986 and the 1987 Cleveland Browns are number 2. Um, it's still emotional to me. The fumble. I was uh, I was in Air Force Reserves, and I was stationed in 2-week duty. I was stationed in Ramstein, Germany. So the game started 3:30 Eastern time. We get in, we fly in, and the first thing we do when we get to the base, hey, do you have the Browns Denver game? As soon as we break into the ability, um, he's like, yeah, comes on at 10:30 at night. Came on at 10:30 at night, just flown over the pond. So try to get a nap, watch the game, and we all know what happened with the fumble. And I left my room, just went walking around, walking outside in the cold and rain on the base, thousands, but 4,000 miles from home. It's just disappointing. Um, about I don't know what time it was. When I woke up, I got back to my dorm. I woke up. I called my mom. My little cousin and was with my mom had spent the night with my mom. I was like, "Hey, why aren't you guys in school? Why aren't you guys at work? Why aren't you at work?" They just start crying. They were just so distraught.
Oh
They were just
man,
so distraught. They
you
just
know
thought they were going to World Series. My
that.
good friend, this is my last story. Super Bowls in Pasadena, right?
Yeah,
That year,
I was gonna go.
right?
I was
My good,
packing up my car. Me and
yeah,
Pete Franklin,
yeah,
Pasadena Pete.
my good friend and my good friend Tony Bellinger. He was telling me that they were calling around trying to book flights
Oh, I
to
was gone.
Pasadena.
I was
They're
packing up.
calling booking flights. They're going to California.
I was working with the Marshall
So it
basketball
was a
team.
fumble.
I called the coach and
Yeah,
said I won't be back until after the Super Bowl. I mean, I was gone. I mean, I was
right.
really gonna pack up my car, and my dad thought I was crazy, but I had like $50 and I was gone. I was gonna sleep in my car. Oh, I was gonna be there. Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you.
Ernest Biner.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you. Well, those two teams are inseparable because we basically had the same team for both games. Except people realize '86 Biner was hurt, didn't play. We had Curtis Dickey played, Herman Fontenot. But if you watch the drive, everything went wrong. I mean, they have a snap that goes off their wide receiver Steve Watson's butt. It could have bounced anywhere. It bounces right up to Elway. They have a 3rd and 20 where they complete a pass where Chris Rockins slips and Hanford. Uh, it's just everything goes wrong. But we get the ball to start the overtime, and we have a 3rd and 3, and we run a draw to Herman Fontenot and don't get it. And of all the guys, of all the good player, but of all the things you could have done to Mac, thrown to Ozzie, that's what we did. It just drives me crazy. And to this day, Rich Carlis's kick was not good. Let's face that. It was no good. It went over to the right. It wasn't good. Should have stayed at 2020. But it is what it is. I mean, that was a great team. Um, what are you gonna do? But like you and I
How
talked,
special
Don
capped
Rogers
off
doesn't
the
die,
great.
right? Don Rogers doesn't pass away that summer before that. We don't ever talk about the drive or the fumble because that stuff doesn't happen. That's a
Yeah, we had
fact.
a lot of heartbreak. And then for number one, born February 28th, 1965, exactly 2 months after the last championship in Cleveland. Cleveland Browns beat the Baltimore Colts
Number 2860.
February 28th, 1964. So I literally, and Steve, we literally waited all our lives, no exaggeration, waited all our lives for this. And I'm not going to get into this, because people talk about it. And I don't like the Lakers. Never have, will. Did I want the Lakers to beat the Celtics back in the 80s? Yes, because what the Celtics used to do is we only play the Lakers twice a year, so I dislike them, this disdain of this Boston Celtics. But LeBron winning the NBA title, I'm okay. Let me say I cheer for LeBron. I don't cheer for the Lakers because of this 2016 World Championship Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Um, Bron brought a championship to the greatest regular season team by record, the Golden State Warriors with how many, Steve? With 3 All-Stars, 2 Hall of Famers, probably
Maybe 3. Draymond Green.
3, 3.
I mean, he might be
This
a
team
third.
that went 73-9, who beat the best record of the great Chicago, so-called great Chicago Bulls teams. Excuse me.
Bless you.
They had a better record than that, and even LeBron called them a juggernaut. They got ready for him. Um, Forgot what day day of the year Steve calls this. I don't know what you call it, 3-1. Something. March 1st, is that what it is? But down, only NBA team to go down 3-1 and win the
Win it
NBA
all.
title. My
That's right.
mom was here. She wasn't feeling well. She was staying here. If you know anything about Cleveland, we live in Lorain County, right on the edge of Lorain County. As soon as they won it, me and my wife just flew down 480 and went to Great Northern Mall and just celebrated. My brother-in-law was in Louisville. He screenshot us pictures of pouring champagne. I mean, Steve can tell. I'll let Steve tell you about the parade. But hey, man, I'm comfortable about being a man, but I cried. I'm not gonna lie. Cried, man. Cried. That felt so good. But Steve can tell you this story where we met up and tell you a little bit about the journey
Yeah.
of it.
So I planned my vacation. I was living out of state then. I planned my vacation because this is when we were going to win it. So we were up and had a pseudo party up in Avon Lake. Watched the game on a blow up screen. Won it. Crazy fireworks going off. We're trying to figure out what we wanted to do. We were thinking about going to Dick's, getting some stuff, which we ended up doing. I had a camper in Vermillion. Went back to the camper, and I was like, "What do you guys want to do?" And my boys say, "Papa would have loved this." I'm like, "Yes," and they're like, "Can we get a paper and take it to him?" So we went and waited at a drug mart, I think on Detroit Road. Waited for it to open up. Got the paper. Drove 4.5 hours to where my dad's buried, and taped it to his grave, and it's the one that said "finally," and took pictures of it. Went home and slept. Got up at, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning. Drove downtown, parked, came over. And so Rich had got us a space on the corner of what? East 9th and
Carnegie and East Ninth.
right. So right behind the Indians. So I came up and I had all my gear on. Turned around a corner and saw Richie, and I was like, man. And he started to cry. I cried. And it was just like, damn, and people all got these stories, right? But damn, we won the championship. And God, it was just crazy because you had parades takes forever, and then you got shirtless JR doing his Jesus stuff. Kyrie's crazy. Richie got to shake hands with Jim Brown. You got the best damn band in the land, right? You got Austin Carr. And one of the funniest things that I got pictures of, so that everybody it was kind of a weird group, like this person with this person. Well, you could see like Thad Matta was with Gene Smith. Well, that was good. And you had Ernest Biner with some of the Cavs. Oh, okay, that's fine. But then here comes this one group, and I'm like, who is that's on this thing? And it's Bernie Kosar and Machine Gun Kelly. You remember this? And so they come up to this thing, and the parade, it stops. And Machine Gun Kelly goes up on top and climbs up, and he's rapping upside down, hanging from a street light. And Bernie's like behind him thinking, God, he's going to fall. And the front page of the paper is going to be Machine Gun Kelly dies at 2016 championship. And it was just, you remember that? It was just the funniest damn thing ever. And it just
right
was.
In front of us, right on the corner of Carnegie and East Ninth.
And you know what the thing is you go these other parades and these other championships, and there's all these fires and crazy shit. It was just like a love fest, man. It'd be almost like being at Woodstock, right? Everybody hugging everyone. Oh my God. It was just. Unreal.
me and my wife, we got there early. We went down to we were communicating with my cousin, and we're like, hey, we're gonna take the train to RTA. Let's take it at the airport. Let's pick it up at Brook Park. And then it was just crazy. You couldn't get on.
Dude,
You
it was
couldn't get on.
unbelievable.
It was hours and hours of waits. So we're like, let's get in the car and drive down there to see how close we get. Well, everybody was trying to get on the RTA because that's what they told you on the news before. Don't drive down, go to the RTA.
Where'd you park?
Steve, we come straight down Carnegie. There's nobody.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just you got some cops on motorcycles, got some cops on horses, but there was nobody on the road. We come down to Carnegie Bridge, come straight right down. What's that? Ontario, cross Ontario, come down Carnegie, and then we parked over by CSU,
Oh,
where we
wow.
go to the CSU basketball game. We parked right there. I at that time, my knee was killing me at the time. I didn't know I had needed a knee replacement. We make it there. We set up camp. We set camp, and that's
Oh,
why we
yeah, it
wait
was
for you and
great.
Greg to show up.
Great.
And, right, we were if you know Cleveland, we were diagonal from the BP gas station on the corner of East Ninth and Carnegie. That's where we're at. We were on the Aggressive Field corner, on the north corner, northwest corner. So as me and my wife were looking, it just looked like a wave of people coming down a Carnegie Bridge. It just looked just like ants, just walking all coming from uh, parking at West Side Market and just coming down, just droves. I
Well,
mean,
it's
no cars. It looked like the night of the NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals, where we beat Pistons. And then me and my wife's like, "Where are these
wow.
people going to stand?"
It was
And they
everywhere.
try to get in front of us, and we're like, "No way!" And that was the little one lane path that they took down there, and it was just a great time.
Well, and it
You
was
know,
a
my kids stayed all
perfect
night.
spot because they had to slow up, go around that corner.
Right,
So you got
right.
everybody.
Jr. comes down. No, sure, he's just crazy.
Kevin Love had
It
his
was a great
Kevin Love
time,
had his
man.
he had his wrestling belts. Remember with his girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
man,
So,
crazy,
so
unbelievable,
real,
unbelievable.
real, real quick. Um, we're just gonna name our honorable mentions so we can kind of stay underneath an hour and a half here. But, real quick, We'll start at the bottom.
I'm sorry.
Talk about it real quick. Honorable mention. They didn't make the top 10. 79 Cleveland Browns. Steve, talk real quickly about them.
79. That was the first start of the Cardiac Kids. Um, Went up against the two best teams in the league, the Oilers and Steelers, who met in the 78 and 79 AFC Championship game. Ended up with a 9-7 record. Played great. That was the start going into 80. Um, actually beat the Steelers and Oilers once each. Didn't have a wild card back, only one wild card back then, and it was the Oilers. Great team. And that was the start of that 79-80 run. That's when Sight basically took over in 78. Great team.
Okay.
Great team.
Okay. Our next honorable mention, 1972 Cleveland Browns.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you, this is the forgotten team. And why I think they were a great team. Well, they went to the playoffs. They won the division. They were 10-3-1. And why I put them there, they lost in the first round. But here's a bit of trivia about them. They're the only team that led the 1972 undefeated Miami Dolphins in the fourth quarter. They were up 14-13. And Jim Kick scored a touchdown with 3 minutes to go. Put the Dolphins up 20-14. Browns were driving, and Phipps was sacked on fourth down, and they lost. So had a great team. That was Leroy Kelly second to last year. Phipps was on the team. Fair Hooker. Jerry Shirk was a rookie. We had Walter Johnson. We had a
Well,
great defense.
Clarence
Clarence
Scott, Tom
Plant,
Darden.
we had a nice team. They were and we were. I mean, really, that's the only team. Now the Steelers gave them a little bit of game the next week. We're the only team that was leading the Dolphins in the fourth quarter at any point the entire year. Entire year. You're talking about the
And
17-0 Dolphins.
then next is 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers, last team to make and 4 in a row. They're the last team to make the NBA playoffs. and that's when Kevin Durant decided to join that was the second year he was on the Golden State Warriors.
The year we traded Kyrie, and
Traded Kyrie, and yeah, we ended up getting swept in that 2017. But hey, we made the finals.
hey,
Then
wait,
we're going with
I remember this though. That's the year of the JR thing at the end of the game where he gets the rebound. He thought we were up one when
right.
the
We're
guard,
tied.
yeah, where what's his name, the guard,
LeBron goes crazy in the locker room,
right,
and it
right.
was downhill
Well,
after
you
that.
remember though, LeBron
Right,
took the charge. They overturned it. We'd have been up 3 and had the ball, and they overturned
right.
it. And then George Hill missed the second free throw, and because I think LeBron had what 55 that game, 55 and
And
like
rest is
17.
history. Right. And then we go to the '98 Tribe.
98 Tribe, only team that beat the Yankees in the playoffs. We were up 2-1. Had a chance to go up 3-1. Jim Thome hit missed hitting a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth by about 2 feet. We win that game. We go up 3-1. This is the Yankees that swept the first round and swept the Padres. In fact, we're the only team that beat them more than 3 times that whole year. That's the Yankee team that went like 112 and 42 or 52 or wherever they were, and the Indians took it to them. That was a great Indians team. Great Indians. That's the
And
year they
then,
Manny had like 140 RBIs.
and this is our only non-professional team we put in this honorable mention. Really, if there could have been a number 11, they would have been my pick. The Mouse McFadden led, Kevin Mackey led 1986 CSU Vikings.
The run and stun.
Run
Run
and
and stun.
stun. Man. Played 94 feet, pressure. Man,
Led the NCAA in scoring.
right.
Really got ripped off in the Sweet 16 against Navy and David Robinson. Had it
Beat
won.
Indiana.
Beat Indiana.
Beat Indiana.
I think if they win that game, that's the year of first time Duke under Coach K went to the Final Four with
Right.
what's his name, Jay Billis in that group, Johnny
Mark
Dawkins,
Allen.
back,
Almar.
yep. So I think
Yeah.
I think CSU to beat them, and a great team, very deep,
Yeah.
ran 4 people out, just got ripped off in that game.
No one played that. No one played that style of basketball. They still don't.
No, it was great.
Georgetown did a little bit, but they and Arkansas ended up doing it for a little bit, but nothing in the quickness and the style of CSU Viking
You know,
and
if
Mouse McFadden.
he was building a dynasty there. You know, they
Yeah.
had some great teams in
And
the early '80s. People act like '86 would be, you know, they had the great teams with
yeah,
Franklin Edwards and Darren Tillis,
Franklin,
where they actually didn't they
right,
beat DePaul with Cummings and all those guys down at Public Hall
right.
the one year. So great
Yeah, that
teams,
was on
great
TV.
teams.
I was in Coach Zekman's biology class. Well, that's our top 10. And that's our first show of Brothers from the CLE. I hope you enjoyed it. And there'll be many more. We'll decide what we're gonna do for our second show. Hope you enjoyed it. Think it went over an hour. It was great. I mean, these are just things that we do
Anyway,
all the time.
hey, I want to thank
We do.
Graham too. He's going to be our producer that's going to make
Thank
this
Graham
look
for
better. And then
yeah,
we got his
setting up this
brother.
Discord.
Right, is making a giant thing that's going to be the Brothers of the CLE in the back, so it'll look a little bit better. And I want to thank
Right,
Skeeter, who's not in the room anymore, for not snoring real loud into the microphone. Oh, he's back over here.
right, right.
Crazy,
So
crazy.
okay.
Hey,
So
hey, let's add up
hey,
two. 5-2, Rich. 5-2. Richie's
5 and
back on the
I'll
bandwagon.
take
Let's
it.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Five,
First time in
five,
19 years,
5 and
playoffs.
2.
Go. Let's get it done.
5 and 2.
Go Browns.
5 and 2. Let's get it done.
Gonna get some
Hey,
bumper
that
music.
extra. Hey, you got to crawl before you walk. I'll take that extra playoff spot. See what happens.
Problem with that.
Hey, anything can happen. That's why they put 2 points on the ball. Anything can happen, right? I mean, Medina's whooped St. Ed's and Ignatius back to
That's
back.
crazy.
Anything can happen.
What do you think about that quarterback, though, huh? You like him or
Yeah,
no?
he's big, strong kid. I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Drew
Heard nothing
Aller?
but good things
Drew
about
Aller,
him.
is that his name?
Yeah, yeah. So they got Menor. Big task. It'll be a big trifecta if they can knock Menor off. But we'll see.
Be good.
But hey, it's been great. It's been long. It's been fun. Talk to
Gotcha.
you soon, Steve.
Yes, sir. Go Browns. Let's go.
Talk to everybody soon.
Yes.